So I know I've been pretty inactive as of late, but it's really not my fault. I had some health issues that I've been recovering from this past month or so. So I haven't been physically able to film. I've been like literally inactive as well. So there are of course movies that I've seen that I'm getting reviews of. So these next few reviews are going to be pretty quick. And this one I'm doing a combo review, because these are the two that I've seen that were theatrically released. The rest were streaming or direct-to-DVD that will be getting out in the next few days. But these two I did see in the theater, so I decided to just kind of combine them, just do a quick review of both of them. So today we're talking about Thor: Love and Thunder and Minions: The Rise of Gru. So Thor: Love and Thunder is, of course, the newest entry in the MCU, and I'm, of course, a big MCU fan, so I, of course, had really high hopes for this. This one's been getting mixed reviews among both critics and Marvel fans alike. Some people are loving it, some people are saying it's among the worst of the MCU. Now, even being among the worst of the MCU, even if that's true, that doesn't mean it's a bad movie. The only MCU film I would say that is absolutely bad is Spider-Man: Far From Home. Maybe throw Thor 2 in there as well. So yeah, the Thor movies have been kind of up and down. The first one I really enjoy. The second one is okay. It's not terrible, but it's not good. And Ragnarok's awesome. Ragnarok's still great. So there was of course a lot of hype around this movie. And in total, it's one of the weaker entries in the MCU, unfortunately. It's not a bad movie, but it is among the weaker ones of the MCU. Now, all the bare essentials are there. Like, the acting's pretty good overall. Hemsworth is still very likable as Thor. It's the problems lie in the runtime and the comedy. The comedy is very different from Ragnarok, because contrary to belief, Taika Waititi did not write Ragnarok. He directed it, but it was written by Christopher L. Yost. Well, he was the main writer, at least. This movie was written by Taika Waititi. And even the other writer didn't work on Ragnarok. So, this is an entirely new writing staff. And you can really tell, the comedy in Ragnarok is really quick, it's snappy, and it's because of the characters' differing personalities, especially scenes between Thor and Grandmaster, or Thor and Loki, or Hulk and Valkyrie. It's like, that's where the comedy worked in that movie. This movie, there are scenes like that, but there are a lot of scenes where it's just a character talking and talking and talking and desperately trying to get a laugh, and those are the scenes that fall flat. The scene of Jane trying to come up with a catchphrase for herself that drags on forever, or some joke about some kid's name, it's like, those aren't funny. That's not dragging a joke out to just talking constantly like it's a minute long is not funny. Speed is very essential to comedy, and dragging something out can be funny, but in these instances it wasn't. The action sequences are pretty good, if few and far between. Bale's a lot of fun as Gore the God Butcher. And again, the problem that I have with the runtime is that it was originally a 4-hour movie, and Disney mandated a 2-hour runtime. Sound familiar? Now, don't get me wrong, this is far superior to Justice League, and the less said about Zack Snyder's Justice League, the better, and thank God the Snyderverse has officially been confirmed to be dead. So that was one of my favorite things to come out of Comic-Con. The MCU announced their entire slate for Phase 5 and what they're doing, and some of Phase 6, and one of my favorite portions was the fact that the Snyderverse was confirmed to be dead. So that tells you all you need to know, because everyone on this channel knows I hate Zack Snyder and his movies and his fan base. Both of the battles with Gore are pretty good, and there are some other action sequences sprinkled throughout the movie as well, like the fight with Zeus's henchmen and everything. But again, the story just kind of feels empty because of the mandated runtime. Had they made the movie longer, it would have been a lot better. Like, this isn't one of those cases where people have been complaining about movies being too long. Now it's getting to a point where movies are too short. Something went wrong in translation here, people were complaining, because Marvel has been doing a lot of 2.5-hour movies, but even still, most of their movies don't even clock in at 2.5 hours. That's where DC's failure is that all their movies are too long. Marvel's getting to a point where their movies are too short. And that's not and if your movie's too short, you won't have enough time to develop. It's the same problem I have with that Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie from last year. There wasn't enough time for anything to develop. And that's kind of the same problem here. I don't really like Jane Foster either. She's better in this one than she was in the first two. I just don't really care about the character. And I know they're going to bring her back even though she died at the end, which was actually pretty surprising to me. I'm glad they went that route, but I know it's not going to last. And yeah, I've seen people say this movie has a political agenda. It kind of does, and it also creates a huge continuity error to the point where they were desperate about, and it involves Korg's parents, the fact in the Ragnarok that he made a joke about his mom's new boyfriend, and that is basically completely contradicted in this movie. And you know why if you've seen the movie. I don't want to get into it, but yeah, they were so desperate to throw stuff like that in that they completely ignored continuity, which is pathetic. And it's from the same director, so there's no excuse for it. But yeah, Thor: Love and Thunder, it's still a decent Marvel movie. Probably not one I'm going to watch a ton. Like, if I'm going to watch a Thor movie, I'll probably go back and watch Ragnarok again. Or maybe the first one again, probably. But this one probably won't be. This one is pretty low on the totem pole for Marvel, unfortunately. So now we move on to Minions: The Rise of Gru. Illumination has gotten a lot of shit for, well, general laziness, it seems like. And I kinda get it. I like pretty much half of their movies, I'm pretty sure. I like both the Sing movies, the second one's obviously better, but I like both of them. I like the 3 Despicable Me movies, I like the Grinch animated movie, and this one was okay too. But they have had their fair share of lazy shit, like the first Minions movie, or Hop, or the Secret Life of Pets movies, or the Lorax. So, it's not like the hatred the studio gets is unwarranted. But I am not among the people who hate the studio, and I'm not ones who love the studio. I think they're very hit and miss. Like I said, I literally like half their movies. And this one I did like this one, and it's definitely better than the first one, the first Minions. The other 3 Despicable Me movies are still better, obviously. But this one was a step up from the first Minions movie, mostly because we actually have a human main character of sorts in this one, so it's less of just their gibberish. I know it's not actual just gibberish, I know it's like a bunch of languages that are kind of thrown together to make these different sentences, but we don't really know what they're saying anyway, so it's not just a bunch of these loud, obnoxious, Twinkie-looking things the entire time. There's a lot of focus on Gru as a child, so it's a little less annoying, at least. The action sequences are fun enough, they're a little loud and obnoxious a bit, but the animation's fluent, and of course it looks great, and surprisingly, Illumination doesn't have that high of budgets. Like, this movie looks pretty good, and I don't even think it had a budget of, I think it had a budget of like $75 million or something, I could be wrong, but I think it was something like that. Compare that to Lightyear that sunk $200 million into their movie only for it to make less money than Percy Jackson. This one's making bank, and it did it with about less than half the budget. So, that is impressive, and again, it's just a fun enough kid movie. This one in particular is the reason why I didn't make a full review for Minions, is because I don't have much to say about it. Like, again, it's like, I like the idea of following a young Gru as he takes his first steps to becoming a supervillain. And I like some of the references to Despicable Me. They don't feel forced like Rogue One, but it does have there's plenty of stuff to make fun of in this movie, though. Again, it's loud, it's dumb, it's obnoxious, and there are plenty of moments that just aren't funny. It has some pretty good lines here and there, but again, most of it's lines from the characters, and the physical comedy can get a laugh every once in a while, but most of the time it's just over-the-top nonsense, and I get that's the Minion style, but it wears a little thin after a while, but thankfully this movie isn't very long, so it doesn't have time to wear out its welcome. And that's the same praise I could give the Thor movie as well, is that it doesn't wear out its welcome, but that one needed to be longer. This one's just a fine kids movie, there's nothing really wrong with it, but it's not I do appreciate it doesn't push an agenda like Lightyear did, so I automatically have to give it praise for that, but as a movie itself, it's I still can't call it like a great movie, it's fine. And ironically, overall, I'm going to give both of these movies a C+. I think that was a little convenient, but that's just how it works. So, thank you all so much for watching, and I will be back with more reviews coming up within the next few days. Like, I'll probably be posting a few a day, so I can catch up on my July ones. I'll probably have a July ranking. We'll just see what happens. So, that's all I got, and now I've got other reviews to work on, so I'll see you all then. Bye.